Look, we gotta get the F out of here. Let's go. We need to begin to prematurely evacuate.
Are you high?
What? No, I'm not high.
You are high as a kite!
I'm not high.
Greetings, everybody. Maximus here, coming to you live from abroad today. No, wait, hang on. No, she just left. But since we're on the subject of abroad, apparently a British Airways pilot has adopted Coca-Cola's old slogan, that everything goes better with Coke. However, he found out the hard way that's not the case when it comes to piloting a jumbo jet full of innocent passengers. It was a balmy South African evening in Johannesburg when married British Airways jumbo pilot First Officer Mike Beaton had some time to kill before his 12-hour flight from Johannesburg back to London in the morning. Apparently, after a few boring hours of reading the Gideon Bible he found in the nightstand drawer, he decided it was time to check out the local nightlife. Well, before he knew it, he found himself in a swinging local nightclub where Beaton met two local lads. Not only that, but he and the lads happened upon a female Welsh holidaymaker and a, quote, young Spanish bird. For those of you who don't speak the King's English, that's a young lady. However, First Officer Beaton's evening began to quickly spiral into a booze and drug-filled night of steamy sex-filled debauchery. But Maximus, how could we know all the sordid details of this poor pilot's private life? Well, as it happens, he is what we older folks refer to as a millennial or possibly a Gen Zer. And they have smartphones, however, they are terrified of the phone part, even though the word phone is in the name. But they love to text about anything and everything. And this bloke, as they would say across the pond, decided to send a detailed text message to another woman who also happened to be a British Air flight attendant. Someone who he thought was his bestie, as the kids say. But soon he would find out that she may have indeed not been his bestie at all, because it was she that gave this glorious story to the world that I'm about to tell you. Sir Michael Beaton begins his sordid tale of his South African adventures thusly. Quote, so we all stagger back up to the hotel bar for one last one before bed. Now, mind you, he has to pilot a British Airways airliner back to London in the morning. But he continues. Welsh, she's the holidaymaker gal he met in a nightclub. He says Welsh and one of these guys is getting on very well, but she's told him that I'm her boyfriend. I'm assuming that means she prefers Mr. Beaton to Mr. Local Lad. But he continues. A couple of drinks in the bar, a bit of snogging, and then we're somehow all on our way to this dude's flat. Again, for those of you like myself who aren't familiar with the British slang, apparently snogging is what we colonists call making out or heavy kissing and petting, if you will. Still, Mr. Beaton's fingers continued to type the story as he excitedly texted his gal pal. Welsh has decided that I should actually be her boyfriend. Spanish, that's the Spanish bird, as he called her, has hooked up with one of the two local lads, and he is having her. And then he adds, Blanks is blanking her on the sofa. Well, I certainly can't read that because my 86-year-old mom watches the channel. But let's just say that one of the local lads made it to third base with the Spanish bird. Beaton says he bragged about how the girls are dancing topless, and he decided to strip off too, before some Class A drugs arrived. For those of you unfamiliar with Class A drugs, they are the hard stuff. We're not talking Tylenol here. The ex-pilot went on to type, I've lost my shirt somewhere, and one of the local lads produces a plate with a few lines of what we used to call Florida snow back in South Florida in the 80s. But he continues, so then there's a debate about whose chest is best to do a bump off of. He being the local lad that he met at the nightclub, then Beaton gleefully adds, that's the story of how I ended up snorting, let's go with toot, off of a girl's lady apples in Joburg. Oh, but the story didn't end there. Beaton then admitted the evening had taken quite a toll on him, confessing, I stayed the night with a Welsh girl where he shagged her for ages. And then he admits even further in writing that I guess the Class A drugs played a part. And then he was so fouled up. Well, he didn't say fouled, but like I said before, as the Brits say, my dear mum is watching, so I have to be careful. He couldn't even lift his head until she was gone at 2 a.m. Wow, too bad he left out all the good stuff. Ah, but never fear, because that bastion of journalism, the Sun, was now on the case. And an airline source told the Sun that British Airways has been left in shock at the behavior of their former employee, who also just happens to run a hot tub retreat in Devon with his wife. Wait a minute, hold on. Mike Beaton runs a hot tub retreat with his wife. Oh man, this story just keeps getting better and better. BA told the Sun of all the bad behavior that goes on down route, no pun intended I'm sure. Between flights, this incident is hard to believe. Oh, so I guess they must have interviewed the Spanish bird as well. But BA continued. A first officer is trained rigorously and knows the law inside and out. Their remit, that means their job by the way, is protecting the safety of passengers. This behavior was the opposite of what is expected of British Airways pilots, and they reiterated that the airline was in shock. Shock, I tell you, shock. I like to think that was followed by a good day, sir. But it wasn't, because BA hadn't finished their tongue lashing of Mr. Beaton. Again, no pun intended. This pilot has hoisted himself by his own petard. Well, I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure he didn't feel like hoisting himself on his own petard. That's why he went out to the nightclub to find a Spanish bird and a Welsh girl to help him hoist his petard that night. But I digress. British Air's comments continued. The idea of sending details of his drunken drug session to a stewardess between flights is extraordinarily dumb. Well, to quote a phrase we here in America use, no duh. However, furious managers followed protocol and the pilot was drug tested on his return to the UK. The alcohol, of course, would no longer have been found in his system, but the Class A drug was. And with that, Mike, the hot tub petard hoister, was summarily fired from BA and will surely never fly again. But according to The Sun, this scandal is just the latest wild tale of British air crews on boozy nights out. According to The Sun, they've already revealed how a stewardess was nicked outside a strip club in Miami after downing drinks with a crew from rival Virgin Atlantic. Nicked. Oh, come on. Now I have to Google nicked. Hang on. Oh, she was robbed. So let that be a lesson to you. If you go to a Miami strip club, be careful or you may get nicked. Or worse. Then in April of this year, a British Air pilot was reported to cops in Singapore after allegedly assaulting a stewardess on a boozy night out. And last March, it emerged that BA staff were banned from all-inclusive deals in the Maldives after a drunk stewardess passed out on the beach. Oh no, not the beach. But back to Hot Tub Mike. British Air sources insisted there was no risk to passengers following the pilot's Johannesburg binge in August. An airline spokesman told The Sun safety is always our top priority. The matter was referred to the CAA and this individual no longer works for us. The Civil Aviation Authority has withdrawn his medical certificate, banning him from the flight deck. A CAA spokesman said an airline must immediately inform us if a UK pilot has misused drink or drugs boarding or being on board an aircraft. In these cases, we would immediately suspend the pilot's medical, which means they cannot fly. In most cases, the pilot would have an assessment with an expert medical team, and if they wish to return to flying, then a comprehensive rehabilitation program would be put in place. The medical would only be reinstated if we were completely satisfied. But The Sun reached out to Mike Beaton's wife, Mrs. Hot Tub, but she declined to comment at their £750,000 home, saying, "You must speak to my husband about it." Okay, who else just heard that sentence in an Emma Thompson English accent? I know I did. So did anybody else notice in those text messages that his flight attendant best friend who ratted him out egged him on by replying, "Tell me everything, and I hope it's even naughtier than us." You get the feeling old Hot Tub Mike and bestie flight attendant may have spent a little time in the hot tub together themselves. And as they say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Makes you think, don't it? Well, I don't know about you, but I am spent. I need a cigarette. And I'll leave you with this. The moral of this story is, if you're a pilot and are alone in your hotel room, and you're thinking of going out to find some local lads, a Welsh girl, and a Spanish bird. Just stay in your room and hoist your own petard by yourself, all alone. Well, that's going to wrap it up for now. Subscribe, like, share, and remember, leave the rubber on the runway, not you, Hot Tub Mike, and your troubles on the ground. And I will see you next time in the air. Yeah, this is Maximus.